What's up, guys? Toon World here. Today we're gonna be talking about what? Y'all see something? Why Jake got quiet up? So, ah, I see. Hmm. Yeah, I guess. I guess we're talking about the first apostle, or one of the first apostles that Gus fought. And was that a fairy, an elf, or a monster? Maybe a fairy, maybe an elf. Definitely a monster. Yep. We're going to be talking about Roseanne or Roseanne. Roseanne. I can't pronounce her name. But basically, this is one of the most beautiful things about Berserk. It has cultures and fairy tales of different things and put into its own twist and its own little snippet of it. This one, if anything, this one reminds me of Peter Pan. Excuse me. Basically, Roseanne was a girl that lived in a small little village that she always used to be tomboyish, and she believed in fairies. Now she had a very terrible upbringing. Her father used to beat her up, was a drunk, and then her mother will also get beat up because her father's a drunk. It was a very terrible upbringing. They was in like a small little town. But she always dreamed that one day a fairy would come and swoop her away. Yes, just like Peter Pan. Peter Pan was one of my favorite stories, I think, at one point, but the true story of Peter Pan, though, I think is a lot more devastating and dark. But that's besides the point. We'll talk. That's besides the point. It's similar to Peter Pan, but this is Berserk, so it's way darker. So basically, she wished she would run all over the place and run to a magical land that she believed fairies would be in, but there was no fairies. And every time she would come home late at night, or well, I guess it wasn't late at night. When she would come home, her father, her stepfather, actually, not even her father, her actual father, I believe they say died in a war or during a bandit attack. One of the two, I can't quite remember. But her stepfather will always beat her up. And of course, this is Berserk yet again. The village was even a nice place to live in, and the villagers was even worse. But it's kind of like peer pressure. Peer pressure? Peer pressure, yeah. Kind of like peer pressure, where the father wanted to look good in front of the villagers. But the villager knew, I'm sure the villagers knew that he was a jerk. Never mind, the village itself was terrible. But anyway, back to the girl. The girl was very tomboyish. She loved she loved to gather things, rocks, snails, snakes. She loved to do things basically that a village boy would do. One thing that she had though that she cared for and cherished for so long was the Bailey. Yep. Though Bailey's gonna be in all of these, man. I should really get something to show the Bailey. But whatever. The Bailey looks like this. Okay. The Bailey. She had the Bailey with her. Now she didn't know what it was, but she knew that it was special. Something told her it was special, and she found it like down a river or something. And it was just one day she got tired of being I would say the nice girl, but she got tired of her life, and thus she decided that she would run away, go to Neverland, and thus she went to Neverland. Only sadly, Neverland doesn't exist. At least for her, anyway. Neverland doesn't exist yet. She makes her own Neverland by doing the sacrifice of the Bailet, killing both her father and her mother, and becoming, yeah, she becomes that. She becomes a fairy. Looks like a fairy. Well, she looks similar to a fairy. and thus she starts doing Peter Pan and just start taking kids away and killing and devouring everyone else. But taking kids away and turning them into fairies. And all the while, she is having her own Neverland, her fairy happy ever after. But this is Berserk, so it was happy for her at least. She was also during the eclipse, which of course every apostle was during the was in the eclipse. But the thing with her is she helped kill some of the members of the band of the Hawks, but we don't know what members she killed. Unlike others that we see that either killed this person or hold Gus down. We do see her, or Rickard sees her, and then that's when the Skull Knight comes. I need to do a video on the Skull Knight. That guy's dark. The Skull Knight comes, and then everyone just flies away. Well, she flies away. She flickers away or whatever. But back to her story. That's basically how she became apostle, and she made the kids. I think they call them. They're basically sub apostles. They're not quite apostles. They don't not as strong as an apostle, but she's they're decent. They're like yay tall. They look like bees, basically. They look like little small bees. Now, have you ever got stung by one? I have, and it's not fun. I'll honestly say more like hornets actually than bees. Probably hornets. More, they're closer to hornets. And there was there was a lot of them. She was basically the queen, doing what she wanted whenever she wanted, and capturing the kids. I'm sorry, capturing all the kids and sending them away, and turning them into fairies as well. And thus she made her Neverland, her paradise, the elf land. Fun fact, later down the line, she finds out that it actually was an elf land long ago. But that's at the end. But anyway, she does all this and other things and just having a good old time. And these elves, the mini elves, or we'll call them mini apostles, they just started having fun as well. They have no fear whatsoever, and they started eating, killing, basically doing whatever and just playing kid games, or as they call them, grown up games. Basically, they will play war, and they will actually be killing one another. But the crazy thing of it is, they're not afraid of death. Now, whatever she did to them, they don't fear it because they see it's I wouldn't say beneath them, but they see it's just another game. And so, our big bad Guts here, after slaughtering a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of the elves, or after slaughtering the sub apostles, their first meeting. I'm speeding past. Their first meeting was when she was eating and devouring the villagers. And then Gus comes to take her down, to kill her. But she's too fast. She moves like in supersonic speeds or something. Supersonic. She definitely moves at supersonic speed and has poison powers. And she's very maneuverable in the air. Gus is fast, but he's nowhere near fast enough to handle her. So she moves. So what he does is, he basically get his butt kicked this round, honestly. But I mean, Gus is such a hard boss that he able to grit through it and kill as many of those bees that swarms after him. Yeah, they're bees. Let's just go with that. Bees, apostles, whatever you want to call them. Basically, a whole bunch of them, hundreds if not thousands, came after him, and you can literally see them gnawing at his skin and ripping him alive. And these things are strong enough to rip the flesh off you in seconds. But Gus is able to handle it and jump in a fire. And able to clear all that away. It's actually quite neat, really. But when he fights her, the strange thing of it is, he thinks back on it. He swings his sword, and he thinks back on it. Maybe he let her get away because it's a kid. But of course, Gus is like, I can't let Apostle get away. They got to die. So we fast forward now to their second battle, where Gus slaughtered all these people, all these demons, sub apostles as well, to fight her again. And this is where things got brutal and serious. And as in brutal and serious, I mean Gus is cutting away at a cocoon like a beehive, basically, where you can see the humans that she captured, the kids, that's turning into little bees, as little sub apostles as well, and just start cutting them down and set the whole place on fire. And then that's when the epic battle happens. The battle of her versus Guts. And I ain't gonna lie, there was a few times that Guts would have kicked the bucket. Definitely would have kicked the bucket. Probably more than that. Okay. Snapple. Kiwi flavor. The best. Anyway, back to it. The battle was epic. Speed, Guts has to figure out how is he going to move it. And of course, Guts, he does some hard moves, some ironclad that only a Chad among Chads could do. Do a blocking, do some fire. And all in all, it was a pretty interesting battle. It could have went either way. But at the end, of course, Guts wins. She had a childhood friend that was also with Guts that she was trying to make into an elf as well. But she just was not going for it. Wouldn't go no matter what. She was at some points, but then she was like, this is crazy. Something going on here. And thus, she just could not convince her enough to become one. And Gus used her childhood friend, as bait to get the finishing blow. Well, not the finishing blow, but a critical blow. A critical enough blow on her to finish the fight. And right when Gus was about to do the last little bit, the army came and stopped him. Well, no, not the army. She came and stopped him. The little girlfriend, she was like, the fight is over. She's about to die anyway. And that's when the army came and shot him. And then he left running away from the army. But then right in her dying breath, she says, there was never a fairyland. It was all a lie. I killed my parents for nothing. It was all a lie. Not in those exact words, but that was basically what she was getting at. But then Puck came and said, this was a fairyland at one point. Not anymore, though. And she was happy. But then she started flying back home. At this point, I believe she even forgot that she was even dying. Honestly, I believe it's more of a symbolism plot of, now I can go home. But hey, that's Roseanne. Roseanne? That's the first apostle and possibly not one of the strongest, but one of the most interesting ones for sure. Alright, catch you later, guys. If you love this, subscribe. See you around.